News.
We finally know which Democrat has the party's support to run for Nebraska's District 2 congressional seat come November. Both the AP and NBC News are calling Denise Powell the winner of the Democratic primary. She claimed victory too tonight, saying in part, quote, "I'm ready to spend the next 6 months working for every vote." First Alert 6's Zina Taher joins me now live in the studio with more on the significance of this seat. Zina.
Yeah, Aaron, this race is already being watched nationally. Republicans want to keep this House seat, and Democrats are hopeful that with Don Bacon out of the picture, they can take it. Denise Powell had a really close race against John Kavanaugh for this seat. The number of votes were too close to call until nearly 24 hours after polls closed. Even though she came out on top today, November will likely be another close race. Republican Brinker Harding is running with his party rallying behind him, including bigger names like Governor Jim Pillen, former Omaha Mayor Gene Stothert, and President Donald Trump. We did speak with Powell earlier today. She says her campaign has always run with the intention of making it past the primary and through to November.
I think there are a lot of people out there who are independents and who are Republicans who, maybe even voted for Trump and feel betrayed right now because they were promised a lot of things that are not being delivered. So it's a huge opportunity, I think, to bring people together around this central idea about creating the real good life that we talk about so much here in Nebraska.
Powell says she wants to support public schools, reproductive health care, and expand paid sick leave and minimum wage. She says the Trump administration's decisions are hurting the community. I spoke with our political expert Ryan Horn tonight. He says with incumbent Don Bacon not running again, Democrats have a good chance at securing the seat.
So the Democrats, if they want to take back the House of Representatives, this is really a must win. They are counting this in their win column. Republicans could lose it and still perhaps hold on to the House if they do elsewhere.
He says when it comes to strategy, a Trump endorsement is a factor that will likely work against Harding, since this district has voted against Trump 3 times in presidential elections. He says Harding can draw voters by promising to essentially continue Don Bacon's work and promising to work on affordability and ease worries about war. Alternatively, he says Powell has an easier message to push through by posing herself as a check on Donald Trump in a district that already leans Democrat. We did reach out to John Kavanaugh's team several times today to request an interview. We did not hear back from his campaign. In the studio, Zina Taher, First Alert 6.
Zina, thank you.